April 15th, 2021, North Augusta.
This conference will now be recorded.
Sorry.
I'd like to call the April 15th, 2021 North Augusta Planning Commission study session to order. And I'm going to turn it over to Libby, to you, and you can introduce our guest and let Emery kind of do what she needs to do.
So we're waiting for Emery to finish hooking up again. Oh, she went off again. If we have any items on the agenda that you guys have questions about, I'll be happy to answer any questions. We have a rezoning for the Highland Springs School.
Yep.
We also have a PD modification for North Augusta Hotel. Oops. We have Stratton Place Townhomes, and we have a presentation of the Stormwater report.
Yeah.
Y'all have any particular questions about those?
I tell you, I'm glad. Thank you for letting Tonya come on, because I mean, as far as for me and maybe Lynn too, I don't ever recall us having anyone come in to talk about the stormwater, the water basin, the whole thing. So yeah, that's very good. I'm looking forward to hearing her talk about that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know she's excited about it. So she's very passionate about her job. So I appreciate that.
We need to do that regularly. So that's a good call to bring her in.
Yeah. So I'm going to unshare my screen for just a second and go ahead and pull up Emery's presentation.
Can I ask you a question, Libby?
Sure.
And I didn't know if this needed to go to Emery or not. I guess you'll tell us the time frame, but is this going to tie in appropriately with what we're doing with the code rewrite, since that was one of the issues they talked about, how the time frame had been so different when it was done? Is there going to be some overlap here? You know what I'm saying?
So it will overlap just a little bit. I foresee the code rewrite will probably be done either about the same time or in a similar time period to
Good. Okay.
To the comprehensive plan update. And we've already shared a good bit of information with them just to try to get everything to coincide the way it should be. Emery, is that you, caller one?
Yes, let's hope y'all can hear me.
I can hear you.
Okay, I am so sorry for these technical difficulties. I was worried about that since I'm at home tonight.
Yeah, I've got you. I've got your presentation up.
Perfect.
And we were just chatting about the project in general. So okay. I'll introduce you.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Again, my apologies, everybody, and I'm going to be running a slight disadvantage as I'm calling in. So I've got the slides here, Libby, so I won't be able to see y'all, and I do apologize. But yes, we can run with this, and Libby, if you're ready, I can start and go through it.
Please go ahead.
Okay. Well, hello, everybody. My name is Emery Langston. I am the Administrator for Planning, Community, and Economic Development for Lower Savannah Council of Government, and delighted to be with y'all tonight, hearing your voices, and hopefully it won't be too long before we can all see each other and maybe be face to face. Eric Carrier is a planner with the COG who's going to be working on this project too, but Eric had class tonight, so we are going to have to excuse him. But he will be doing a lot of the data and statistical updates to the plan, so y'all get to know Eric very well too. Libby, on the screen that you should have up is with the proposed plan update and schedule. So what I want to just kind of go over very quickly with y'all is what we're going to be doing over this 8-month journey is updating the current comprehensive plan that y'all have that was done in 2017 by Stantec. And as you'll note this is kind of the proposed, what we're thinking. We can be somewhat fluid with this, but we're starting off tonight, and I'm going to tell you some processes and some things that we're going to be thinking about and try to get your juices flowing. Our staff will not be meeting with you every month. We will be meeting with you every other month to have a kind of a more in-depth discussion. However, we will be sending information to you each month. As I noted, this is going to be an update, and so we've got lots of information that you will want to see. So that's just kind of our outline. Our hope is that we will be finished with this pretty much in November so that it can go to council in December. So we'll be wrapping this up at the end of 2021. So our eighth month journey will begin tonight. Libby, if you could flip it to the next one that we're going to talk about, the 5-year review. Okay, so something that I want y'all to keep in mind is over the course of these next few months is this is a review and update process. By South Carolina law, it says that we want to make sure that comprehensive plans for municipalities are reviewed every 5 years. The state law is very specific about what your 10-year plan looks like and needs to hold, and all that great information, but when it comes to review, it doesn't give the specifics that the 10-year does. So I just want y'all to keep in mind that this is a review process, and we want to just take a look at, okay, where are we? Where have we been? What have we done? And kind of what this is going to look like going forward. The city of North Augusta has been growing tremendously, and y'all have been doing some tremendous things for many number of years. But we're really going to be focusing on the document that y'all currently have in place. I don't know how many of you have that document right in front of you tonight, but that's okay if you don't, because what we're going to do tonight, you don't absolutely have to have it. But I would encourage you very much to make sure that you're reviewing what you have as we go through these next several months. Again, we're taking stock. We want to see where we've been and what we've been doing and where we're going to shape our future. Libby has done a fantastic job of providing some supplemental updated information every year since the comprehensive plan came out, or I guess since Libby's been in her position, that kind of covers the yearly report. So I'm sure y'all have that great information too, and that's a wonderful document that we're going to be taking a look at as time goes by. So what are we going to be doing? We're going to be updating the data and statistical information. So I'm sure that y'all will have seen some population change, and we're going to be updating that material. And as y'all all probably know, the comprehensive plan is a very fluid document. It's a very living document. So we want to see where you were in 2017 and going forward, and hopefully we'll be able to draw upon some of the new census data over the course of the next year. We hope to have some information on housing and population. I know for the next meeting. But as time goes on and we get updated information over these next 8 months, we'll make sure that it's the most up-to-date information that y'all can have. So we're going to be looking at lots of statistics to make sure that all that's good for you, because if your population is increasing and your housing is increasing, then that is certainly going to, shape where you as a group want to go with your comprehensive plan. So we're going to be doing all that fun stuff, and we're going to be doing that in all of the elements prescribed in the comprehensive plan, and that is population, housing, economic development, natural and cultural resources, community facilities, transportation, land use, and priority investment areas. And some of this information is going to be we'll get more data than others. So I'm sure we'll take an inventory and kind of look at, review and update for your cultural resources, but those statistics and data and information might not be changing quite as drastically as maybe your population and housing and things like that. So we'll be taking a look at that. And then we're also going to be going over your core principles outlined in your comprehensive plan, looking at those goals and strategies and initiatives. And in the reports that I know that Libby does every year, it's a very nice outline of everything that y'all have accomplished over the years, where it comes to what was said in 2017 and how you wanted to implement the strategies going forward. And we're going to be talking about those the same. So we're going to be doing a lot of discussion and formulation and looking forward to what the next 5 years is going to look like. And we certainly want you to be thinking, on the horizon past that. But for our purposes, for the document that we will ultimately provide the City of North Augusta, it's going to be a review supplemental that's just going to provide updated information to this plan. So now I've done a whole bunch of talking to this point. Does anybody have any questions about the process in and of itself? Okay. Hearing none at this point, and please, if you have questions along the way.
Henry, I'm sorry. This is Britton Williams. I do have a question.
Okay, sure, Britton.
My question is because I had not come on Planning Commission until the process had begun, when we actually did the current comprehensive plan.
Sure.
You meeting with the Planning Commission, because I know one of the issues that we heard from in the past from several council, will all the updates in the status of where things are, will that filter to Libby and she will send that to council? Will you also be talking to council at all? How will Libby be the contact person for the city council to be aware of where things are, so the council feels like they're, aware of what's happening through this process?
Sure. And that's a great question. So this is kind of how I was seeing that we would operate. Yes, we're going to be, the COG staff is going to be working with this Planning Commission for the document. Like I said, we're going to send you updated information to review every month, and then we're going to meet with you regarding the updates that we have done and the review process every other month. So yes, very, very much involved with the Planning Commission. Libby is our liaison. We are working with Libby, so we'll pass along the information to Libby to get to you guys, and then y'all will have a chance to review it. We'll discuss it over the next month, and I'm going to have a plan and a process in place as to keeping us on task, making sure that we're getting everything that we need to do done. At the end of the process, there will be a tangible document that y'all will have helped us work on and approve. We'll do all the work. Y'all get to see and help us with that. And then you as a body will decide if this is what you want to pass up to council. And then the body will pass it to council for their review at the end of the process. So we're hoping that will happen. We're hoping we're having a finished document for this body to review in November, so then you can pass it on to council in December. Did that answer your question, Britton?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Sure. Okay, any other questions? Okay. So what we want to do tonight is take a look. I want to get a kind of a foundation, and I don't want anybody to stress about this. We're going to take a look at the big picture, looking at your core principles that are in the current document. And if y'all haven't looked at the current document in a while, don't worry about it. Your homework is going to be to make sure that you kind of review the comprehensive plan. But to kind of get us centered and a base, what I want to do tonight is talk about the core principles that are outlined in the current comprehensive plan. So we'll start with the sustainable economic growth. And what I'd like to do is the screen that y'all are probably looking at. it has to decide a little check mark and some things that the city, and these are just examples of things. This is not an exhaustive list of everything that y'all have done, because y'all have accomplished so very much in the city of North Augusta with regards to what was prescribed in the comprehensive plan. So what I've done here is just to name a few things with regards to the big core principles, and I believe there's 7 of them. The first one being sustainable economic growth. Riverside Village is a wonderful project and an example of a sustainable economic growth. The amphitheater and what that's going to be able to bring and mean to the city, and your greenway improvement. So looking at those things, or thinking about those things, and many others that y'all have done, where I want you to think big picture, 30,000 feet, what's next with regards to sustainable economic growth for the city of North Augusta. And we're going to go through all the principles tonight. Just kind of, I'd love to get some feedback from you tonight if anybody's got any ideas. But this is something that we'll kind of weave into our discussion along the way. But does anybody have any feedback or thoughts on what sustainable economic growth might look like? Something that may be able to be done, a project, something for the city of North Augusta to continue this sustainable economic growth over the next 5 years. Does anybody have any ideas or want to chime in on that?
Well, we are in the process of Libby just led funding for the Martintown Road corridor, which is exit 1. And I think that's realistic to believe that that's going to be a piece of future economic growth for the community. Sure. With some tracks out there. And I think the Planning Commission, the City Council's just now with this corridor begun to look at that more of the traffic piece of the roads. But what I'm saying is some of that infrastructure has to do with future development. So sure. I would think exit 1 would definitely be an area that we would want to include going forward.
Sure. And if I get quiet, y'all, I'm taking some notes. So, absolutely. And y'all very well know. I don't think you'd be where you are if you didn't know this. So much of this stuff just builds on each other, and has spurs, and it's really, really wonderful when you put, one major piece in to see how the tentacles really can kind of go out and have rippling effects in your community. So anybody else with sustainable economic growth have any ideas you want to just throw out there tonight about that? Okay. Okay. So the next core principle in the comprehensive plan focuses on efficient, high quality services. And again, just to name a few things that have been done to get your juices flowing on this is the city has developed some annexation agreements and provided funding for capital projects, the capital project fund. So when we're thinking about the next 5 years and we want to continue this efficient, high quality service that the city provides, is there anything that comes to mind, that y'all would like to see kind of going forward? If not, and I do want to point this out to y'all, some of the good resources. The comprehensive plan obviously is going to be a great place to go back to, after we have this discussion tonight, because I know I'm kind of catching y'all cold, and there's no worries on that a bit. But in review, because Libby's put together these wonderful reports that you can kind of flip back on and say, oh my gosh, yeah, we did that too, and forgot about that. But the annexation, and I think y'all know, that's such a topic across all municipalities in South Carolina. That's a hot topic, and how municipalities are dealing with annexation, and then y'all have some donut holes, and how that's being taken care of, and y'all are looking at that in a very proactive way, and looking at how the new acreage that's coming into the city, how that's going to be dealt with and handled. So, and it can even be to continue these types of things, to make looking at certain plans or services more robust, or tweaking it however the body feels like it may be tweaked when it comes to these high quality services. And I'm just using the annexation as kind of an example. But having the capital project funds in recent years that, the city has really put some funding to, has been very impactful as well. So anything on that anybody wants to kind of chime in on? So that is going to be a theme that we're going to be looking at. Okay. I believe the next one is going to be your next core principle: stable, diverse, and walkable neighborhoods. Just to name a few things that the city's done, a great job in is wayfinding. I know as an outsider looking in, and I do want to make this point. I meant to make this point earlier. This is y'all's community, and I don't want ever in this process for anyone to think that I'm trying to lead you in one direction or another. That is certainly not what I want to do, but I may interject my input as an outsider looking in sometimes. So, as an outsider looking in, the wayfinding points in the downtown area are nice. And so, what does that look like going forward, maybe, and how does that translate into some other areas? Code enforcement, what a tool to have in your toolbox, and of course the greenway expansion and the connectability there. So, any thoughts off the bat with regards to stable, diverse, and walkable neighborhoods? Anything anybody wants to kind of chime in on or think about or put out in the air?
You're aware that we're rewriting our code right now, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And that is something that is currently going on, and absolutely. And we do need to be cognizant of that as we are, looking and reviewing this update process. Absolutely.
Let me, and I'm going to ask you some ignorant questions, so I'm good at that. So I appreciate your patience. I was wondering, how does, would traffic calming tie in with that as well, as far as in neighborhoods?
Well, yes, absolutely. I think it could tie in very nicely there. And, sometimes there's going to be bleed over. So, depending on what neighborhood or where that is, it definitely could go into, a transportation area too, and really undergird each other. But absolutely, traffic calming could be something looked at in this core principle. Did you have something specific in mind? I'm just curious.
Well, I know there are communities that have traffic calming programs in place, and I guess I'm thinking more streets that are thoroughfares and cut throughs, with neighbors saying, "Hey, I want a speed bump," and in their communities because our kids want to be walking and all of those things. So I just didn't know if that thought process would fall under this, or would that be more under the transportation and mobility piece, or is that not? Well, I just don't think we're talking about it, and I've seen some communities that have really focused on that in the regards to the neighborhood. So that's what I was just wondering where that might fit.
Sure, and I think it's a very appropriate place, especially if you have folks that, maybe there was a street that cut from one major area to another that hadn't been that heavily traveled, but then you see more growth in the area and more traffic in the area. So you see this neighborhood cut through that's being utilized more, and the neighbors are concerned. So absolutely, I think that's an appropriate place to talk about something like that.
Okay.
All right. Anybody else? Okay. All All right, let's move on then. I think the next one is going to be stewardship of cultural and natural resources. And so a couple of things of note here is identifying historically significant neighborhood as an African American heritage district. The North Augusta is Tree City, USA, and the support of land conservation activities in the lower Savannah sub-basin, being a member of the Savannah River Clean Water Fund, especially with the position that you hold as South Carolina's waterfront. I know that the Savannah River and everything that is talked about with the Corps of Engineers is near and dear to your heart. So anything else with regards to this core principle that y'all may want to look at?
Well, I would just give, not that I'm advocating this, but I know in the past we have had some issues that have come in front of Planning Commission just with a lot of our historical buildings we have in the community and how that's been impacted with different development projects and things of that nature, because a lot of people think we have a historic districts, but we really don't. And I think historically the city had a historic district years ago, but for whatever reason they do not. But we have run across that, I know, as far as the Planning Commission at times. So.
Okay, sure. Yes, absolutely.
I think in some ways that needs to be more citizen-led if that's important. But I do know we have the historical piece has been thrown at us a good bit on a couple different items or applicants that have come in front of us. So I don't know where that would fall. I'm just kind of throwing out some, giving you some insight.
No, and this is exactly what I want. I think that this is perfect. And these are really important things that the city needs to think about and take under consideration, and how do we want to move forward. So now your thought process on this is great. I'm just making some notes. All right, anybody else? Okay, well, we will move on. And our next topic, our next core principle that we want to look at, I believe, is going to be robust parks, recreation, and greenway network. So just to name a few, a public access to the Savannah River with your new park, master planning that's currently taking place with the park properties, and I believe the property is that's the Old Country Club, and the downtown Greenway connector. Just to give you an idea, some things that y'all are doing in the process of doing. Does that spur anything looking forward? The Greenway has been, outsider looking in comment, such a jewel for the city of North Augusta, and such a draw as well. And the what y'all are doing with that and continue to do is really awesome. So nothing right now on that one. Okay, if not, that's fine.
Excuse me, Bob Clark. As far as access to the river, this amphitheater has been, I think, a tremendous asset. Because every time I go down there to one of the restaurants or whatever, there are always people just sitting there in the amphitheater looking at the river. Or, the kids are running around them or sitting reading or whatever. But that has really provided a nice open space, much bigger than Beck Park. It allows you just go down and make access to the river. So I think that's a tremendous addition.
Yes, absolutely. And that was, something that you think about when you do the amphitheater, about the programs and the activities that you're going to have, and then you go on a day and it's still being utilized, and people are really enjoying that beautiful scene that you have right there on the river. That is really nice. Okay. All right, well, let's move on then to, and this ties in beautifully, a vibrant downtown and riverfront area. So I think it goes without saying, but we'll say it. The support that the city's had for the development of the Riverside Village and Project Jackson and what has happened down there, and working, the continuing to work with developers and manage the parking and the facilities to make sure that that's operating like it should with the growth and the development that you've had downtown. Definitely the amphitheater, see, it all bleeds together. The amphitheater is part of that beauty too. So, any ideas or thoughts? Big 30,000 foot view on this one.
Yeah, I think one is, for me personally, the riverside, the riverfront, and the downtown proper are two entities.
Yes.
And pretty much people look at them two ways, and quite frankly, going from one to the other is very difficult. So I think there's got to be a gateway, a connection, a thought process of how do you play off both of those and do it in a way to where it almost effortlessly becomes one. And right now, I don't think we have that. And I think for where we need to go as a community, we've got to make that downtown vibrant while we continue to make Riverside Village a complete project. But its mindset is two separate divides. And I think the piece as our community is we got to be thinking a gateway, a piece that when you're coming in on Georgia Avenue, over the bridge, you're seeing something and something that draws you up. And then when you're heading downtown, it draws you down to the SRP Park. So I don't know how you work that in, but I just think that connection between the two is going to be critical for us to really take advantage of both those bodies going forward.
Absolutely. Okay. Any other thoughts on that? Absolutely. Okay. All righty. And
I'm sorry. One thing that Emory, one thing that Libby has done real good, and I don't think we've been able to, she's begun doing a lot with measuring the parking downtown.
Yes.
And I think she's got a lot of good data for that, and due to a lot of things we haven't really had to be able to get into it like I think she probably would like to have done it this past year. But the parking piece is very important as far as, do we have pockets of land behind buildings that could be used for parking? So I think the parking ties in with all of this too.
Absolutely. Could not agree with that more. And that is a really great segue in looking to I believe this is the last core principle with the transportation that facilitates activity and mobility. Yes. Beautiful job of the segue. Because one of the things, yes, of course, that y'all have done is the downtown parking study. And that is a huge piece of data to have available when you're trying to figure some things out. I know that sidewalk expansion, the development of sidewalk expansion list has been done, what that may look like. And then I think y'all are currently working on the 2021 transportation plan for the city. So all of these things are very important, when you're talking about any type of transportation, but, with the previous conversation of, the connectability and being able to, what is that gateway and linking up the downtown and the riverfront? What does that look like? How are we going to let people park downtown so they can move about freely and things like that? So, it's just a beautiful thing how all of these things just kind of flow and weave together to make a good plan. So, y'all have a good basis with your comprehensive plan. So, all that being said, any other thoughts with regards to transportation that facilitates activity and mobility?
Well, I think cycling, as far as, the state did some widening of Buena Vista and Atomic Road. And in doing that, they put in bike lanes. So we have a lot of cyclists. And as a matter of fact, again, there's a lot of cyclists. That's a big part of what people do besides just a greenway. And you go to a lot of communities, and there's a lot of proper lanes for that. I don't think we've ever really addressed that or looked at it. And that just might be, I would think, with the way things are going, that's going to continue to be on people's radar. So the bike lane, cycling, that piece of what that looks like with this is what I would say.
Sure, absolutely.
Emery, this is Larry. I'd like to kind of play off of what Britton just said.
Sure.
I think that one of the things that we need to do as a city is to either get it in our code or our comprehensive plan to advocate for a complete street system where we have so many streets that really don't address the bikes, and some that don't address walking. So I think that's something that we need to have in our codes, because a lot of our streets are DOT controlled and owned, and
Sure.
if we had it in our code or comprehensive plan, then maybe we could get them to do some bike lanes when they blacktop the streets or improve the streets.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, of course, I think absolutely this is the perfect time to be, thinking about how that is weaved into this, because your comprehensive plan, definitely what is in the comprehensive plan, you want to support your codes, your zoning, and the other plans that you have out there, because they all work together. You want them all working together in concert and not, contradicting anybody. And it's a usable document for the city. It's a usable tool for the planning commission. It's a usable tool for the council. It's a usable tool for staff. So absolutely. And then we can also look at some avenues that of course support that in the comprehensive plan, but other ways that we may be able to tap into, being able to work with some other entity, DOT and all that good stuff. So, those are very good points about your pedestrian and bikes and cyclists, and looking at that in your transportation. Okay. Anything else? Any other things with regards to transportation, activity, mobility? Anything with that? Okay. If not, again, I don't want if anybody didn't have anything that they really wanted to chime in tonight, and something just, comes blazing to you in 2 days from now, certainly we can have that discussion and keep updating what these core principles, look like, because this is what we're doing. We're updating this comprehensive plan that you have, making sure that it is a document that is relevant and that is moving you to where you want to be. It's a good time to think about all these things. So, does anybody have? I'm sorry.
Oh no, go ahead. I'm sorry. I had a question whenever you finished. I'm sorry.
No, you go right ahead. You ask your question.
Yeah. So, and I'm sorry I missed the first few minutes, so you may have covered this. But as we talk about transportation, mobility, all of the work with both the Greenway and the downtown development, how do we make sure that we also take care of affordable housing, and making sure that we don't, because it is so attractive, the things that make the amphitheater, the Greenway, so impactful is that they are really public spaces. And so how do we make sure that we don't price out a lot of folks who've been here forever, the kinds of families that North Augusta used to have, to make sure that we are accessible?
Sure, absolutely. You want to make the city of North Augusta accessible to everybody. So what we'll do in this process is tonight we're just taking the big, kind of looking at the big view, getting your juices flowing again about, looking at all of these topics. So as we go through the course of the next 8 months, we're going to be updating data, and we will be talking specifically about housing and neighborhoods. And I think that is something that is on the forefront nationwide, making sure that housing is affordable in your community. What is affordable? What is workforce? Market rate, and really understanding those types of things. So I think it's something that I'm going to task y'all with to, do some homework, and I will provide some tools as well. But how does that translate into, and what is that going to look like into the update of this particular comprehensive plan? So you bring up a lot of really good points that we need to consider going forward, because you want to make sure that everybody is covered in the plan, and that there is an opportunity for affordable housing. I don't know if that answered your question, but what I can tell you is in the course of what we're going to be doing, we're going to be taking a look at your data, where we're going to be updating that from the current plan is, okay, so what does housing look like now from 5 years ago? And that will kind of help us see maybe where some holes are, or some opportunities are, to be able to work together or put some affordable housing and things of that nature. So did that answer your question?
No, that's perfect. Thank you.
Okay, great. So, okay, anything else? Anybody else got any thoughts or ideas or questions or anything else?
This will be the last question.
No, ask as many as you want. This is what makes this process really good.
How are other communities embracing their comprehensive plan? Because, when I first came on the planning commission, I think you may have to do something legally every 10 years, but that doesn't mean that it's an active document like you said. And one of the things I think Libby has brought to the table is that she has incorporated the comprehensive plan in everything that comes in front of the planning commission.
Yes.
So I see it much more livable working document today than it might have been 4 or 5 years ago. And I think not a challenge, but that's why my question to you about council is, and I guess I'm getting to a question is, my question is, the communities that are really growing and doing what needs to be done, are they all embracing the comprehensive plan from your experience? Or are you seeing that from the communities that people would highlight? Is that comprehensive plan a working document?
I will be very honest with you and tell you that I see some communities who are doing what y'all are doing in the city of North Augusta, and how Libby is treating this as a living document, and it's always reflected back into the comprehensive plans how it should be. That's incorporating those thoughts and ideas because it was birthed with community input, with committee input, and of course with your leadership input. Some communities that may not be as vibrant as the city of North Augusta don't embrace it as the living document that it is. And I think that those two go hand in hand. When you're a vibrant community, when things are happening, and it doesn't really, it's always going to be an issue, but you have to have the community support. I mean, the entire community needs to get behind a document like this. It can't be birthed from one thought. It's got to have a diverse group of thought to make it work for the diverse community that you are. So I'm not knocking any other communities that I've worked with, but your leadership, your civic engagement that you have to make people aware, drive these things. And I do commend the City of North Augusta Planning Commission Council and Libby, and I'm not just saying that because proof is in the pudding. y'all are doing some great things, but you have to keep it up. You can't rest on your laurels. And to have the input, making sure that citizenry buys into this, is a very important thing. So, Britton, I don't know if that really answered your question.
Will that citizen input, I guess what I'm getting at is, maybe that was my initial question about the planning commission piece, is part of what you're doing, is it strictly the review for us, or is that internally up to us to let people know, the community, that, hey, we're redoing this 5-year plan, here's what we're working on? See what I'm saying?
Okay, yes.
Us as a community, as a city, or does that fall into any of your role at all?
No, it really doesn't fall into my role, because how I'm operating is as pretty much a contractor that's working with you under the perimeters of your rules and how that's conducted. Now, I think that your meetings are open to the public. So, as long as the public has an opportunity to be able to participate, that's key, but that really doesn't fall on my role. And I'll be happy to, kind of provide any.
We've got to make a concerted effort. We have to make a concerted effort as a community to make sure that we're letting as many people know what we're doing while we're doing it, is what I'm saying.
So Britton, if y'all don't mind me interjecting a little bit, Emery and I have actually had a couple of conversations about it, and I'm working kind of to put together the public outreach arm of it. It will be based around our study sessions, but just like Emery said, they're all open to the public. We're looking at a few different advertisement options. If we need to hold some open forums, we can do that. That's fine. But that's a discussion we need to have as a planning commission.
Exactly. Okay.
And we're just getting started. So I need y'all to trust me a little bit that we're working on it, and that we thought about it, and that we're gonna do something. We're gonna do it. It just, we've got to get it together.
Yeah. I just didn't want Emery to think we didn't have any questions. That was all.
I know y'all got plenty of questions, and I do realize that I'm coming at you, cold tonight with y'all really, what does this big picture look like? So just kind of wanted to get some themes and some ideas and concerns and questions. This is exactly what I was hoping we would come to the surface tonight, Brendan. Is exactly what I wanted. Okay. Anything else that y'all can think of for tonight?
This is Lynn Carter. I've just got a couple of comments, not really questions,
Sure.
in relation to everything we've been over. As Commissioner Crawford had said, I think affordable housing is critical in the city to move forward in its entirety. So that needs to be as a focus as well. And then if you look at all the categories we went through, the vast majority of those are focused primarily on the downtown and riverfront area. While I think that is a vibrant area and needs to be worked on, we can't let the rest of the city fall behind in those particular areas as well. 5 years ago when we did this the first time, that was the main point. I think now we've got to take a broader scope maybe and look at the entire city. We've got a project on the books tonight with the new school. I think that area has a possibility of taking off once that final piece is put together. So that was one of my comments with that. The amphitheater, just as a comment, is that going to be something that is open all the time? My understanding from my readings that might not be the case in some instances, that you can't really access that at all times. Maybe I read that incorrectly, but just food for thought as we go through this process that, we seem to be downtown, and then, maybe some of these other areas aren't getting the focus they need to as well. So just food for thought. That's all.
No, and I think that's great. And I think, you make some really great points. 5 years ago, this was the focus. So, where are we headed now? I do think that there's plenty of opportunity in this update, and I do want to remind y'all this is an update and a review process. We're not recreating a document, but I think that there's some really great opportunities to maybe focus citywide on some of these areas with some initiatives, some new initiatives, some implementation strategy. So absolutely, you're on the right path with how you're thinking and these things that need to be addressed citywide. All right, guys. Well, that's really all I have for y'all tonight. Unless there's any more questions. Okay. So where we go from here? This is our kickoff. I appreciate your time tonight. I appreciate your feedback tonight. It's always going to be encouraged and welcomed. Next month, again, we will not be meeting, the staff will not be meeting with you, but we will be sending Libby some updated information for y'all to look at that I believe going to pertain to population and maybe some housing statistics. And as I said, we will continue to update those as we get new information. Since this information is not rolling out like I think everybody had hoped or wanted, but we do want to make sure that we are getting you the most updated information that we can. So we'll at least get you a picture and start that process. In that process too, we want any feedback, any questions. I've put my email information up there and Eric's as well. If you have any questions through this process, or before the next month, feel free to get in touch with Libby and or me, and we can go that route. And then we'll be getting back together in June as a group and having some discussion, and really we'll have more information for you to review at that one, and taking a look at the updates that start getting into some meat of some things. Your homework again is going to be to look at your comprehensive plan and the reports that Libby has put together over the past couple of years, and see the wonderful things that you have done, and look forward to continuing the ideas of what is to come.
All right, and I need to put a 5-minute warning on. It looks like we've got a lot of people coming in, getting ready for the 7 o'clock meeting. So if you have any last questions, please throw them out there. I would also like to add that the commission should expect to have a study session with pretty much every meeting, probably until the end of the year. Just because we do have all of these projects going on, and to keep us on track with the comprehensive plan and development code rewrite.
Thank you, Emery.
Thanks, guys. Look forward to working with y'all over these months.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Bye-bye.
Libby, anything else?
That's all I have for that. If y'all give me just 1 second, I'll share the screen again, and we'll pick back up for our regular meeting in 5 minutes if we need
Sounds good.
a break.
All right, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the April 15th, 2021 North Augusta Planning Commission meeting to order. And we'll go through the roll call as always. If you will state your first and last name after I call you as Commissioner. Commissioner Key. Commissioner Mackey. Commissioner Watts.
Larry Watts.
Okay, Larry, good. Commissioner Crawford.
Christine Crawford.
Thank you. Commissioner Clark.
Bob Clark.
Fantastic. Commissioner Carter.
Lynn Carter, present.
Okay, and Britton Williams is present. So, and maybe Commissioner Key and Mackey will come on a little bit later. All right.
Did you get Larry?
I did.
Okay.
I did. Approval of minutes. Are there any deletions, additions, or corrections? If not, they stand approved as distributed. And Mrs. Hodges, do we have any changes to the agenda?
I have none.
Okay, great. So let's jump right in. Item number 5 is application RZM 21-001 Highland Springs School rezoning, a request by Aiken County Public Schools to rezone a portion of the Highland Springs planned development located on plus or minus 51.2 acres at parcel 023-05-01-003 from PD planned development to P public use. This will be a consideration of the rezoning request, and we'll be making a recommendation to City Council. So with that, is there anything, Mrs. Hodges, you would like to share with us about this?
I don't have a lot of additional information to add. This would effectively pull this parcel out of the Highland Springs PD. And it was recommended to go to public use because it is a school. If you have any particular questions about the property or about this project, I'll be happy to answer them. I believe Tilden Hildebrandt is here. Kevin Chipman is here. I believe that may be all who's here for the school project.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions from the commissioners to Mrs. Hodges? I just have one. So this piece, I know the Highland Springs, but just because you included the overview of the entire Blanchard tract. So when in that initial PD of the Blanchard tract, that's the part that goes all the way to Martintown Road, Libby?
I don't believe it goes to Martintown Road.
But is this the piece of the 1,500 acres that Triple Crown bought originally? Are they still owner of all this? Is this who Aiken County bought it from, or?
No. It had been, it was owned by a different entity who has given this piece of property to the schools for them to use.
Okay.
But it was not originally in the PD proposed as a school. So we really need to get it to an approvable use.
Okay. All right. If there's no other questions from commissioners, then I would ask the applicant or applicants, whoever's with applicants, if you would state your first and last name for the record, and then feel free to update us on what we need to know.
Yes, this is Tilden Hildebrandt with Hassan Hildebrandt and Aiken.
Welcome.
And we are preparing, thank you, we're preparing the site plan. Kevin Chipman, Director of Facilities Construction, is here also representing the school district. This parcel was donated to the school district by the owner of, and I've always known it as the Blanchard tract, but Highland Springs. They are also working with another developer donor to allow access to Belvedere Clearwater Road, directly across from Cherokee Drive. And there will be two accesses to the site. One will be off Belvedere Clearwater Road, and a secondary access for buses only will be off Old Sudlow Lake Road. Again, actually a total of 3 property owners involved, but the school district site itself is approximately 50 acres. I think it's 51.2 acres. Will include an elementary school and a middle school and some recreational facilities and the typical facilities that you would expect on a school site. Do you have any particular questions?
Questions from commissioners?
I have a question about the capacity. What student capacity would we have? This is Commissioner Watts.
The capacity, and Kevin, you chime in if I am incorrect or if you want to expand, but the capacity is anticipated 750 middle school students, 550 elementary school students. The middle school will be constructed first, and the elementary school, which is actually part of the main building, will be constructed as funding allows. It may be a couple years or maybe a few years down the road. The core facilities, cafeteria, media center, will be constructed with middle school, and elementary school will share that at some later time. So 750 middle, 550 elementary.
Thank you.
Other questions from commissioners? Maybe this is Libby, this might be a question for you. I was just curious, on the page 6 of the staff report under financial analysis, which is one of the things we had to look at. It says the applicant states that the schools are tax exempt, but the school district will pay for utilities and infrastructure that may be utilized by residential and commercial development in the area. What is that exactly? Is that saying?
If they make any water or sewer extensions to the site, there is a possibility that other people could tap into those. That's all that means.
Okay.
And there will be
offsite school. Is that normal? Is that just something the school district needed to do to make the deal? Is that common for Kevin for the schools? I just don't know.
In this case, there was no water and sewer directly on the site. There was water along Old Sudlow Lake Road, and that was actually Breezy Hill water. So the water has to be extended, and the sewer has to be extended. And yes, it will be someday the offsite water and sewer by other customers.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Do you feel like any improvements will need to be made to Old Sudlow as a result of the addition? I mean, I know Belvedere Clearwater can probably handle it, but I didn't know about Old Sudlow. That's
actually the site plan's been reviewed by DOT. The site plan's been reviewed by South Carolina DOT, and there will be some road improvements at the bus entrance on Old Sudlow Lake Road. And there will be a left turn lane and a right turn lane. Well, actually a right turn lane added on Belvedere Clearwater Road and a left turn lane designated in the existing median area on Belvedere Clearwater Road.
And did you say the elementary school is going to be built first, you said, then the middle school?
Other way
Middle-
around, middle first.
Middle schools first, okay. And when would you expect that to be done? What kind of time frame are we looking at?
Well, the school district would like to start tomorrow, but it's going to take a few months here to get our plans and permits together,
Right.
site plan.
Right, I knew that part, but just wondered how long it would take y'all to do the construction, yeah.
This,
Um,
that I
Kevin?
got, I'm Kevin Chipman, in schools, and intention is to get the entrance to first so that we can materials job site. And, so the, contract can do an early site package. And then, we will, in almost the design part, probably 4 to 5 months for the building part. Is to the point that we could start. And as far as we the middle to approximately 18 months.
Okay. I kind of cut off on me, but I think you said 18 months. Okay.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Are there any other questions before I ask for public comments from Ms. Hodges? Okay. Do we have any public comments?
We haven't received any public comments.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Anything else for the good of the group? We need any other questions from commissioners to the applicants? Okay. All right. Questions between commissioners before I ask for a motion? Okay.
I just think it's a positive move. I think it's great to see what Aiken County's done with all the schools in the area the last few years after a, extensive period of just maintaining, I guess is the best way to say it, but it's good to see that we're making progress in that area. And I think it's exciting. I think it brings development to that area, and I think it's going to be a plus. And it should ease some pressure, I guess, on some other schools in the area, or if not, we'll just bring new kids in, I guess, with all the new folks moving here. So I think it's a great move.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Anything else? Okay. All right. I think Commissioner Key just came on. Commissioner Key.
I'm having severe technical difficulties.
Well, we are at the point where, are there any questions you would have for the applicants concerning the Highland Springs project? Before we ask for a motion. Okay. Well, I would entertain a motion from somebody.
Libby, is it appropriate to make the motion just that the planning commission recommends the city council approval of ordinance number 2001-05? Does anything more than that need to be said?
I don't think anything else needs to be said.
I'll make that motion then.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion? Then we'll go down the line. Yay or nay? Commissioner Key?
Yay.
Commissioner Watts?
Yay.
Commissioner Crawford?
Yay.
Commissioner Clark?
Yay.
Commissioner Carter?
Yay.
And Britton Williams is a yay. So, all right, it passes unanimously. And thank you, gentlemen, for what you're doing.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
your
you.
time. Thanks for everything y'all do. All right, let's move up to item number 6, application PDM 21-001 North Augusta Hotel. A request by North Augusta Hotel LLC for a minor modification to the Sweetwater planned development on plus or minus 2.74 acres located at parcel 010-14-03-008 along Stevens Farm Lane. And this is a consideration by a minor modification request by the commission. So that being said, Mrs. Hodges, anything you'd like to share with us on this?
So this is, as we discussed, a minor modification to allow tractor trailers, RVs, large vehicles to park in a lot adjacent to the Holiday Inn Express. And this is all within the Sweetwater plan development, the larger development. I believe we have Mr. Shah and Mr. Patel here with us tonight representing the project. If you have any particular questions, I'll be happy to entertain those.
All right. Any questions for Mrs. Hodges from the commissioners?
I had a couple of questions,
Good.
Ms. Hodges, that I guess this would be appropriate time to ask them. I noticed when I was reading through it, it said that the revisions as currently written would apply to all land within the PD. What exactly does that mean?
So the current request modifies the language of the PD, which is the PD that applies to the entire site.
Okay, is there a reason we're doing that rather than just this one particular spot?
That was their request.
Okay. And also another thing that I saw is it said that you didn't know that all items would meet the current standards at the development code. What items do you think? What do you think those items are?
Well, as it's shown on the current site plan, it's not clear. They have some conflicting notes about what their surface will be. We're not clear about how they're going to handle landscaping at the moment. That is the big stuff for us. So there's just a lot of questions still remaining.
Okay, thank you.
One of my questions is, Libby, I guess, is didn't we approve part of a modification of this back in September last year?
Yes, it's the same PD.
Why would, I guess maybe it's just the applicant, what's changed since then? Why would we not have addressed that at that point? Why are we waiting now 6 months later to do this? Is that a better question for the applicant?
Yeah, Mr. Patel and Mr. Shah can probably, or may be able to answer that question. I mean, the short answer on the staff's side is that wasn't part of the request that they made.
Wow. Right. Okay. Okay. Sound like piecemeal. Okay. Good. All right. Any other questions for Ms. Hodges? Okay.
Ms. Libby,
I'm sorry.
Ms. Libby, we apply for the parking.
One second, Mr. Shaw. Give me 1 second. 1 second. I'll get you in just a second. So, no other questions for the app for Ms. Hodges from the commissioners. Mr. Shaw, if you and whoever's with you, if you would state your name and address for the record, we would appreciate it. Then you can feel free to update us with what's happening.
Sure, I'm sorry about that. My name is Ken Shah. I'm the owner of Holiday Inn Express on Exit 5.
Okay. Is anybody else with you that will be speaking?
Go ahead, Mr. Patel.
Yeah, my name is Mike Patel, and I am the part of the Holiday Inn Express in North Augusta.
Okay. So go ahead, Mr. Shaw. Tell us what we need to know about this project.
So we apply for a parking permit from the city of North Augusta. Only reason is not only truck parking, is a customer extended parking for the customer. People are coming from several reasons. Like we have a bus of people are coming in the bus to attend this SRP Park sports tournament when they have a baseball. Plus we have a truck parking, we have a horse show. So customer is only for the customer, and they are coming for several reasons to park their vehicles. So this is extra parking for the customer only.
I guess my question is, I asked Ms. Hodges, what has changed in the last 6 months? I guess my only, what I'm questioning is we approved that modification back in September, and I'm just wondering, are we going to continue to keep having things like this come to us? I guess I'm trying to say, why would you not have addressed that when we already made approval of the modification back in September?
I don't think so. We ever issued anything about that notice to clarify what is the purpose of for this parking.
So if I may, what we're dealing with here is kind of a late stage PD.
Okay.
And many of the parcels have been sold off. We're actually struggling we've got yet another modification that'll probably come in on this same PD.
Okay.
And this is where we struggle with PDs a little bit when they kind of get to the end of their life cycle, if you will. You know, as pieces get sold off, you know, different owners have different objectives. We have some requirement in the code to have it under a unified control. How well we can enforce that, you know, the city can't necessarily stop people from selling property. So, we have different owners that have come in with applications at different times. Staff forwards applications as they are received. I don't know that there's really any other explanation other than that.
Okay, well, that's a good one. Thank you. You know, Commissioner Watts had asked a question, and you said with the late stage, I guess I'm wondering is how much other, you know, so it's not just the hotel, it'd be for the entire PD. Is there, I guess my question is, are we opening this up into something that's going to make us look worse later? I mean, how much else is out there that's going to be coming up to where would this be a negative beyond this property is what I'm saying?
That to me would be at the discretion of the commission.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to understand, you said this is a late stage. So are there a lot of other parts of the PD that's not been developed to where if we pass this, the parking would not just coincide with the hotel. It could be used for any part of the PD is what I'm getting at. Are we put ourselves in a situation where that's going to be a negative on the other parts of the PD? That's the part I don't know.
So you guys have to decide if that's something you want to condition. If you don't want to condition it, that's the request has been made as a blanket statement change within the PD.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Questions for Mr. Shaw from commissioners?
So this is Commissioner Crawford. Is there a particular reason that Mr. Shaw, you all did not request it just for your section of the development and why it was requested for the entire development?
Good question.
When we got the CO from City of Augusta, we didn't realize that there's the issue of extra parking for the hotel guests. So we didn't, we thought when we got the CO, it was clear that this lot is for the parking for the customer for any purpose.
Yeah. I think we understand that. I guess our question is why do you not want it just for the hotel? Why are you wanting it for the entire PD?
We didn't apply for entire PD. We just applied for only for that our lot.
Rest stop is not our lot.
So I think the confusion is the way the request was made, it would apply to the entire PD. Staff is making sure that the commission understands that that is the situation if we take the text as it's proposed.
Yeah.
We did not apply for the entire PD. We're just applying for making easy for the city of North Augusta to having a parking for the guests only for that particular lot only.
Okay. Well, I know, I mean, I don't know, personally for me, I don't like the fact that it's for the whole PD. I could see maybe for just that, and maybe we can make a condition, but I don't know. Thoughts from commissioners? Any questions?
I don't know if this is a question, Chairman Williams, but I understand why you would want to have a parking place for people that were coming down to the fraternity or whatever and had maybe a camper or somebody, a truck driver that was spending the night there who needed a place to park his rig. And I understand, and I don't have a problem with that really. I do question the language in this request on long-term parking now, and I don't understand exactly what that means. Does it mean that if the person stays there for a week, that's considered long-term, or can somebody park a tractor trailer there and leave it for 2 or 3 months? I mean, I'm not sure exactly how that.
Yes. So we have a customer maybe staying for 1 week or 2 weeks, and it's not only for the truck, maybe for the camping ground, or they have some family reunion. So several purposes, we have a guest for several reasons. So we just apply for not 2, 3 months. Maximum, we have a customer for 1 week.
1 week.
Only. We have some people staying 1 week. So we never had more than a 1 week customer staying in our
So this
hotel.
is just for customers. This is just for the customer while they are staying at the end.
That's right.
It's
Yes,
not
sir.
for somebody to come in and pay you to let them leave the rig there.
No.
No, sir.
No.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
This is Commissioner Key. In your long-term stay, you don't have guests that are workers that are working for months on end, and they're paying you a weekly rate or a monthly rate.
No, we don't have it.
No, sir. We do not rent our customer for monthly or weekly. It's a daily customer. Sometimes they say 1 week, but that's it. Not a monthly customer. No, sir.
But you could change that, though, correct? That's just a policy.
No,
of
sir.
yours.
We are running a high occupancy. Holiday Inn Express. We are franchise people will not allow us to rent a monthly customer. No. We have only corporate client, and that corporate client is staying for Monday to Friday.
And we don't have any kitchenette room either. We have regular rooms.
I'm sorry, can you repeat yourself?
I said we don't have any room with the kitchen. We have regular rooms, bed and bath only, and TV. That's it. Nothing else in the room.
Okay.
Just a comment, I guess, being very familiar with horse shows and things like that, there is a need for extra parking at hotels, particularly ones that are constructed in very tight areas. So I don't have a problem necessarily with that. My question would be a control point. Is there an access point that your hotel staff, are you going to know that those people are there, or if they're just, I mean, how are you going to control that as far as who's there, who's not there? And I mean, is it fenced? Will it be fenced? Will it be paved? Will it not be paved? I mean, is there certain, have you gotten that far yet in your process as far as determining those type things?
Yes, so, sir, we are not charging any customer to any fee for parking. This is a total free parking. The controlling for the guests only, we have a night auditor, we have a people, we give them a ticket showing that free parking for the guests. So they have to put it in the front of the vehicle. So at night time, when somebody make a round, we make sure that nobody park from the outside. Only people park with staying in the hotel only. We have a sign that this is the customer parking only. Otherwise, we can tow your vehicle with your expense.
I guess I just don't understand why they're only one in the hotel and we have it, we're a motion. I mean, we're gonna have to do the whole thing. Can we do that as a condition, just the hotel, Libby?
You guys have the power to modify this if you would like to
Okay.
modify it in a way that you're more comfortable.
Okay. I guess because I just don't, I don't really have a problem necessarily with the hotel for everything that y'all have said makes sense, I guess, because I don't have an understanding of what other issues down the road, are we opening it up to where there's gonna be other places that are gonna want trucks and whatever, and is that end up gonna be a real negative? So I just don't know. I can't, it's hard for me to understand that part of it. So I don't know if I'm maybe the only one being dense tonight, but to me, I feel like if we're going to do it, for me, I'd like to make a condition that we're doing write it for the hotel only, since that's what he's wanting versus entire PD when we don't really even know what that looks like for the whole PD.
No, so this is Christine. I wouldn't even consider doing it for the entire PD. The only way I'd even be open to considering it at all is if it was only for the hotel, because then you have no control at all. And I just, so I think we're leaning in that direction. I'm a little confused about the no long-term customers, because I've even stayed, on work assignments in another life at the Ritz-Carlton for a month. So, I mean, I find that interesting. But that's neither here nor there. I'd be willing to consider it, but only for the hotel.
Yeah. That's kind of where
Answer to your question, man. This is exit 5. We don't have that kind of business. Mostly corporate client, overnight people only. So I don't even remember maybe a few customers in the whole year. We have a weekly or maybe 2 weeks. 99.9 customer is overnight, or maybe maximum for 1 week only. Because location is such a location that we don't have any extended stay in our hotel, period.
Okay.
We have more corporate clients than the truckers or any other things.
No, but certainly, what I was saying was, Mr. Shaw, that even as a corporate customer, sometimes if you're on assignment as a professional, you stay for longer, and it's not, and so it's just, yeah. So that's all, and we know that certainly you can't predict how your rooms will be used, but we kind of have to have a feel for it as we're making this decision. That's the only reason we're harping on it.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
As well as the change is to the real estate is not to the ownership, so the property could be sold. Is that not correct?
I'm sorry, say it again.
I said I was addressing that to Libby. This is not based on ownership of the hotel. This would be specifically for this parcel. And so if the hotel is sold and things change a little bit, that still will be applicable to that property. Is that correct?
Yes. That's why I'm saying that the application, the way it's stated currently as just a blanket change, applies to the entire PD, because the PD is encompassing the entire Sweetwater development.
I think
you guys have, and it can change hands at any time, and that's part of why we're in this predicament that we are. But you guys can approve with conditions, or deny. That's all within your power.
Libby, I have one more question for you, if I could. At the bottom of that, when you were pointing out stuff in that report, it had something that it looked like it was within the code for a situation like this, and it was had something to do with screening. Is there something in our code that is already set up where you can have this kind of a parking lot?
With conditions, yes. The staff did include some provisions from our development code on the bottom of page 6 and the top, bottom of page 5 and the top of page 6. Basically, it states in Article 12.3.4.3 that overnight parking of large trucks, trailers, shipping containers, and similar vehicles is not permitted unless such vehicles are parked entirely behind a principal structure and shielded from the street. And furthermore, in Article 4.35.6, oversized vehicles, states the parking of oversized vehicles within non-residential districts may be permitted for a maximum of 15 days in conjunction with conventions, trade shows, or other similar events sponsored by organized groups with the prior written approval of the director. Oversized vehicles shall not be parked on public rights of way, discharge any litter, sewage, effluent, or other matter except into sanitary facilities designed to dispose of such materials.
Okay, from what you just read me, it sounds like that the limit or prohibiting factor in this situation would be that it's not located behind the building. Is that correct?
The PD does not allow parking of large vehicles, which is why we're doing we've got to modify the PD to allow this use.
Okay, so the PD itself is what's governing this situation.
Yes, the PD trumps everything else pretty much.
Okay, okay, I understand now.
But staff included that. Yeah, staff included that language so you would have a point of reference.
So, commissioners, what are your thoughts?
Bob Clark, to me, it's very obvious that what these gentlemen were asking for is just this one piece of land. And I think all of the stuff about the PC, that didn't come up. I think they understood. And I'd like to limit it to that lot, which is what they asked for. And it sounds a reasonable request for a hotel in that close to the interstate. And, you know, like Masters Week and Futurity and others, there are people that come in and they've got horse trailers or semis, and they got to park them somewhere. So I think it's a reasonable request by a business to provide a space for that and limit it to that space.
Well, I would be open for a motion.
One more thing.
Questions.
This is Commissioner Key. Are we wanting to restrict it for events, or we're talking about 365 days that it's more of a roadside inn that trucks can stop and park on the side? So what are we doing what would we be changing for in the vein of being able to give that type of parking for special events or 360?
Well, here, I'm sorry. It says overnight or extended parking, tractor trailers or railroad truck containers shall be allowed in adjacent parking for overnight guests at the hotel. No tractor trailer container or recreational vehicle by non-paving guests at hotel shall be permitted in any parking area at all. So that's the part that they're asking for, that we would need to make a condition to where it's just the hotel and not the PD, I believe.
Yeah, I understand that, but are we speaking and conditioning it knowing that it'll be more suitable for a roadside inn, that it'll be parking like that, as the applicant has asked.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, we can make the condition anything we want. I don't know.
No,
I don't have to do that.
Yeah, what I'm seeking for is that third leg to the stool, that they're getting what they need, but we're not opening up we're saying is that the PD, and as more parcels are sold off, then the latter parcels are squeezed based on the rules in which we set now. So I feel and I understand and I want to comply, but I don't want to open up Pandora's box.
But also,
If it just make it easy for everybody, I can request to my site engineer, Bo, he can change the language instead of entire PD, just for this lot, for the hotel guest only. That makes sense?
Well, the planning commission may make that finding in their,
Yeah, we can make that in as a condition if somebody wants to make that motion. But I'm not sure if Commissioner Key got his question answered or are there any other questions from commissioners?
I think the answer for Commissioner Key, Tim, is it's 365.
Yeah, I understand, but are we in agreement to 365? That's my question.
Yeah, okay, that's the question.
Is this
One of the things that bothers me is how is this going to look for all the other areas out here? Is there going to be adequate screening, or is it going to be something that's just sitting out in the middle of the open area? And is that going to be a problem? This area is kind of behind a filling station. It's behind hamburger place, but I'd like for it not to be too apparent. It's a overnight parking for tractor trailers.
It's not from the road, you cannot see it. It's trees and a Circle K in the front of us. So if you're driving on the main road, you cannot see any truck parking or any other camper ground or any buses or nothing like that.
But from Stevens Farm Lane, you can.
Yes. If you are making a turn to the Walmart, then.
And that's what he's saying. There's a development down there, so you're going to have people riding by and seeing the trucks, is what you were saying, Commissioner Watts.
Yeah, that concerns me a little bit. Is it fair to the other people in the PD?
But we don't have so many trucks. Only few sometimes overnight, and the camper or not all the time. That's another thing. It's not like day-to-day basis. On and off. Not like 5-10 trucks, maybe 2 or 3, or maybe sometimes 1, or sometimes nothing.
And Libby, there's nothing in the code where if we did that they would have any kind of buffers or anything to block it, right? It would just be out there in the open.
So currently, I'm not sure how to answer that question because it currently wouldn't be allowed in front of the main structure under this PD. So I'm not sure how to answer that question.
I guess Commissioner Watts is saying, is that part of something that we could put in that condition as far as some kind of blockage or buffer? I don't know.
The planning commission has the right to rewrite this however they would like.
Okay.
And for the other potential owners of the parcels behind, it's going to be in the front of their structure. So it's on the side and it's on the road. And so whoever buys the next parcel, if it's not screened, then we have.
Yeah.
We can do some. Go ahead. Sorry.
What is the building? What is the property behind y'all? What is that red roof?
There is no need for. There's a gas station. There's a gas station over there.
That's a gas station.
Circle K.
On the front side, that's Circle K. Behind them, you guys have seen that before as the self-storage project.
Yep.
But that may come back as something different, and they will be required to do some buffering along the property line when they develop. but it'll be a pretty minimal buffer.
You're talking about the self-storage?
Yes, the parcel to the, what looks like the east.
I think an occasional truck or a camper is certainly a lot less of an eyesore than a full-time storage unit.
Well, they make those storage units look pretty good.
Yeah, to spend enough money.
Well, and I was gonna say they do, and I think certainly again it's predicting the number of trucks because it also, we have to assume the worst because we're making this decision for perpetuity. So if it were all 18 wheelers, right? Because if the hotel changes hands tomorrow, and it is all 18 wheelers, what kind of buffers and what requirements do we need so that we feel comfortable?
Yeah, I don't know what those buffers need to be, but I think there needs to be a buffer.
I think we need to see this as an opportunity because, once again, I know horse people. And if they're staying at that hotel and there's not a place to park, they're going to park there anyway. And I bet you at any time, because I know cowboys and I know horse people, I really do. And they're going to find a place to put that rig if they want to stay in that hotel. They're either going to put it there or they're going to put it in the Walmart parking lot. And I would bet you at any time during the week, you can drive by any of the Walmart parking lots, so you'll see a semi sitting back in there or you'll see something parked there. And if you go down the other side of the street, you're probably going to see somebody's semi who does it for a living parked on the side road leading into the other development on the other end. I mean, I live out here. I know I see that. So, I mean, it's just a matter of what we want to do. I think we can do this with conditions and work it, but I think there needs to be screening. I think there needs to be some sort of containment of that lot so that we know so that they know what's there first off, and that we can make this work. I mean, we've been beating this thing to death. I just think we need to make a decision and move on. And but like I said, people are going to find a place to park if they don't stay in the hotel. That's really what I'm trying to say. And I related to horse people because I know them very well. And they'll put a rig on the sidewalk if they have to get somewhere. Doesn't matter to them.
I mean, that's a great point. Thank you. I'm for the condition, but again, I don't know what that looks like with the screening, the containment. I mean, it sounds to me, almost seems like they need to come back to planning and let them work through that. I mean, I don't know.
You can also, just as a suggestion, as a suggestion, if you want us to bring the plans back to you for approval before we give them a final approval, we can do that as well. We can use existing standards for screening and buffers. We can do that. We've done that on some different projects.
Okay.
You can make stipulations about parking lot landscaping or how many you want on the lot. The limits are limitless.
So if somebody wants to make a motion to approve with the condition that it's just going to be this hotel and to send it back to planning to give us screening, containment, and some better information for us to give a final approval, then we could do that. If somebody wants to make a motion like that, that's about kind of where I'm looking at it right now. So,
Libby, can I ask you, is that the appropriate way to do it? Is it to make a motion to go ahead and do this before it goes back to you, or should you go back to you knowing that we don't want it to be for the full PD and we do want screening, adequate screening for this particular lot? How would it be best to approach this?
So I think we can take care of that tonight. I think the motion needs to specify that the text of the PD modification be edited to add a provision that it's only for the parcel shown, and that the applicant should work with planning to propose adequate screening. If you have a particular standard you would like for me to impose, please speak now. And that final site plans for any use such as this would need to return to the Planning Commission for final approval.
I would make that motion if we could just what she said, if I don't have to repeat it.
Okay. Do you have a particular standard you would like to use for the screening?
Well, I'm not sure what standards we have. I would like to make sure that we have a fairly stringent standard.
Yeah.
And I don't think it needs to be like a residential standard, and I don't think it needs to be, I think it needs to be something that would be a more of an industrial type screening.
Okay, are you
Commercial type
envisioning,
screening.
a structured screening like a fence or more vegetation?
Well, I like vegetative screening, but you know, you're talking 10 years down the road. So I think we're gonna have to leave that to
I
planning.
like the structure piece versus the shrubbery. But depending on what that looks like. Maybe give us both of them. Oh Lord, I'm gonna lose my power.
So all we're arguing about right now is whether we approve it with a condition that the planning department develop and have them install an adequate screening, as opposed to us having to come back another month and to know how many trees there are. And I certainly trust Libby to let them do that and not have to repeat this whole thing again.
The screening that I have in my mind's eye is similar to what they have at the funeral home on George Avenue. They have vegetation as well as they have the cyclone fence that is laced with it seems as if it's green. It's really nice. That is something that is appealing to me. You got the vegetation, you've got the not a cyclone fence as in all metal. It's metal, but it's laced with
Like a Venetian blind.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that looks nice too.
Well, we just need someone to make a motion.
Okay, Tim, you want to do it or you want me to do it?
You go ahead on, brother.
Okay. I'll make the motion that we send this, we approve this under the conditions that it is strictly this lot and the adequate screen would be installed and it go back to planning department to stipulate how this screen would be done. And do you want to come back to us, Libby, for final approval, or you want to just go ahead and let it go?
That's up to the commission.
That's up to how y'all up to the motion.
Bob, I know you didn't. Go ahead, Dan.
Let it go.
I'll prefer that it comes back to a final vote. We're just going to look at the screen, what they choose.
Okay, and so after it goes through planning, it come back to us for the final vote.
All right. So we have a motion from Commissioner Watts to basically take the text that has been brought to us and to edit the provision only for the parcel shown and to do proper screening by the planning department to bring back to the planning commission for final approval. Is that right, Commissioner Watts?
That's correct.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Key. Any discussion from commissioners? Okay. Let's go through our little notes here. Commissioner Key.
Aye.
Commissioner Watts.
Yay.
Commissioner Crawford.
Yay.
Commissioner Clark.
Yay.
Commissioner Carter.
Yay.
And Commissioner Britton Williams, yes. Okay. So, thank you, gentlemen, and, we'll be seeing you again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be in touch about next steps.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Man, for a minute there, I thought we were going in the BZA territory. Whew. Okay. Item 7, application P21-001 Stratton Place Townhomes. A request by JSMG Development LLC for approval of 32 townhomes on a plus or minus 5.62 acre tract at parcel 012-13-04-013 located on Bradleyville Road. And this is a consideration of the major subdivision preliminary plat by the commission. So with that, anything you'd like to share with us, Ms. Hodges?
I don't have a lot to share about it. The property has previously been to the Board of Zoning Appeals to approve the lot width reduction for the townhomes. I believe we have Mr. Green and Mr. Thigpen with us today to discuss the project if you have any particular questions.
All right. Before we do that, any questions from commissioners to Mrs. Hodges? Okay, we'd like the applicant and whoever's here with them, if you would state your name and address for the record, and then go ahead and shoot.
Good evening, Philip Crane with 1233 Augusta West Parkway.
Nice to have you back with us, Philip.
I always appreciate being in front of you, so it's a pleasure.
Anybody else with you?
Hey, it's Gary
Thigpen is here. He's the representative of the developer.
Hey, Gary Thigpen, JSMG Development, 1030 Jimmy Dice Parkway.
You need to wash your own face and everything. Now, you stand a bit
Good to see you, sir.
You stand
As Ms. Hodges pointed out, it's a 32 townhome subdivision off of Bradleyville Road. And we have been to the BZA to reduce that lot size down to 26 feet. I think the code requires 40 or 45, which is kind of unusual for a townhome, but within the R7 zoning, the townhome, so we needed to get that 6-foot units in there. You can see from the layout, there's a significant portion of the property around where the detention pond is that has some challenging topography. So we're really just trying to develop the property that is up closer to Bradleyville and more suitable for housing. That's limited us to 32 lots. We have looked at the comments. We've got one set of comments back from staff, looking through those. I don't see anything that can't be overcome to staff satisfaction. We are tied to the DOT road, and we have made that application for the driveway permit. And we'll also have a force main which will run up the right-of-way of Bradleyville Road, which will also require a DOT permit. I believe that JSMG is going to build a nice product on this property. We've got a little bit of work to do as far as providing elevations and staggering the fronts of the buildings to meet North Augusta code. Those fit within the confines of the lots that we have shown there. That's about all I've got, unless Gary wants to add anything. I'd certainly be glad to answer any questions that the commission might have.
Any questions for the applicant from commissioners?
I have no questions.
How about telling us, if you don't mind, I wrote out there, I think this is a great project for that area, needed. I think it'll be a very positive. Just kind of tell me about what are you looking at as far as the material, what it's going to look like, what is your price point? Kind of what got you to choose that location? Kind of tell us what brought you up to this, because I think it sounds really good to me.
So what brought me to the location, first off, is I'm also with Carbon Construction, and we built multiple homes back in the Bradley area, and it was all a success. Everyone got along well. The houses sold quickly. I still have communication with all of my buyers over there, and they enjoy and love the area. It's quiet, have no issues. I changed to a different landscaper, and he just made the comment one day, "Hey, I've got a piece of property on Bradleyville Road. Are you interested?" We got to talking and sat down and decided to acquire the project after approval. These will be vinyl sided, board and batten in the gable, probably 3-tab shingles on the roof lines. They'll have all EDP, no vinyl inside with carpet, granite. The price point, that's the grand question. You know, lumber is 127% higher with recordings of it going another 12% in the next 4 weeks. So I'd love to tell you a price point. I can't answer that question right now.
Okay. Well, I think it's a great project, and Fitz will just be a huge asset for that area. I'm very impressed.
I've received comments from some neighbors around there. All were positive.
Okay. All right. Any other questions from commissioners? If not, we would entertain a motion. Come on now. Somebody can do it. Come on.
Come on, Cam.
I'm handicapped. I don't have any of my paperwork in front of me.
Okay. Mr. Carter, how about you, sir?
I'm in the same boat. My laptop just went dead on me, so I'm.
I think I got it.
If you'll give me the numbers, I'll make the motion.
Christine's coming through. Okay.
Okay, I think, now y'all correct me. So I move to approve the 32 townhomes as part of application PP 21-001 Stratton Place.
Okay, there's a motion by Commissioner Crawford. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Carter, a second. Okay, any discussion between commissioners? All right, so let's go for a vote. Commissioner Key?
Yay.
Commissioner Watts?
Yay.
Mr. Crawford?
Yay.
Commissioner Clark?
Yay.
Commissioner Carter?
Yay.
And Commissioner Williams, yes. Very good. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner. Y'all have a nice evening.
Hope it goes well. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So at this point, we have a special guest who's been waiting so patiently for us to have her chance to educate us. And this is a presentation of Stormwater by Tonya Strickland, who is a Stormwater manager. And unless there's something Ms. Hodges needs to tell us, Tonya, I'd love to have her just open it up to you and tell us what we need to know.
All right, give me just 1 second. I need to share the screen to Tonya, and then she will take it from there.
Is there anything we need to pull up at all from what you sent us, or? I hope not.
I'll have it up for you.
Perfect. We're learning how to use these, this new tablet.
Well, I am too. This is my first one.
I used to have them paper. This is very difficult. I can't jump back and forth. I got.
So let me see if I can find mine. Here we go. Okay, so this is called Padlet. I don't know if y'all have experienced it, but it's really interesting. You can put everything in front of you, in front of y'all, and we can go over things. I can show you videos and everything without having to get you to sign in. But first, I want to thank you for having me. I hate that it's on such a busy night, and I know you're all tired, and so am I, but I'll try to make it brief. You've seen the report. The report I sent out was a draft. As you can tell, it needed quite a bit of work. We're planning to have it completed within the next week, and the final report will be available if you want a copy of it. And I would hope that you would request a copy. If you If you want a hard copy, that is absolutely fine. We can provide that, but we don't want to print anything that was going to go in the trash or sitting on a shelf. So if you want a hard copy, that'll be provided to you. Once it is final, then we are working toward getting in front of the city council to give them an overview as well. So with that, I thank you again for having me. I'm going to try to go through this without taking questions until afterwards. That way you can see everything that I want to present tonight. I'm really just doing an overview. Before I get started, are there any questions you already have? Okay. So everybody can see what I've got in front of me. I'm moving things. You see that? Is everybody okay? Okay. So I'm going to go over quickly just the report itself, how it's set up, what we found with the data, some of our education and outreach programs, activities that we're doing in the basins now, the new rankings, which was not at the end of the report because that's the last thing I did. I did provide it. It is on this slide, and I'm also had sent Libby a link to this. So even after you sign off for tomorrow, when you're more refreshed, if you want to look at this again, you'll be able to. And then we'll look at a quick look at several of the basins that I have problems in. So the report, you've seen it. It looks just like this drawing here. But I do want to talk about this part of it. This is the source water protection area. A lot of times this gets missed in the thinking of things in development or whatever, but all of this area in here in the blue is 100-foot buffer around Pole Branch, Pretty Run Creek, some of Fox Creek as a source water protection area for our drinking water plant. This map is put together by South Carolina DHEC, and it's a 100-foot buffer. It's not an undisturbed buffer. It's just an area of concern that we keep our eye on. So that kind of sets the tone for a lot of the things we do in those basins. So let me see if I can back out of that, and we'll go down back to this. And so the results from the monitoring were really good. I don't know if you had a chance to look at it. I know we're all busy. You probably haven't. But from the baseline to all the sampling that we've done, the majority of the data is showing an improvement, which I'm really excited about. I was talking with David Goodell. You know, Streets and Drains works hands in hands with the city's Stormwater Department. And David and I were discussing the data and how wonderful it looked. And he said, well, how could it not, as much work as we've done? And I'm going to kind of go over that a little bit. But we look at nutrients in the basin. We look at metals and bacteria. And for instance, Pretty Run Basin is a TMDL basin. It has an impairment on that stream that was set by the state years ago. So we have regulatory monitoring of that basin, meaning that it is regulatory. We have to provide them the information. It's very rigorous. But if we find a high bacteria level, that doesn't really say a lot because we have natural bacteria out in the environment. So we'll look at nutrients as well. And that nutrient level, we'll look at ammonia, nitrogen, phosphorus, and total ketone nitrogen. Those 3 or 4 things, if they're all high and we have a high bacteria, then we definitely have a suspicion that there's a illicit discharge. But a lot of times what we find is just one of them's high for whatever reason, and we can usually kind of think that through. We also look at wet weather versus dry weather. During a rain event, we sample, and then we'll sample during a dry event. And we've averaged all the data. We haven't really gotten into the nuts and bolts, and I'm not going to go over that tonight. We also look at the stream basin integrity. That's what I want to look at tonight. That's what I want to talk to you about. And then the development in the basins, and that's what you do every day. And as planning commissioners, you are the ones responsible for, you know, kind of looking at all the information that comes through and making decisions. So I want to go over that a little bit. And then all of our activities. So this is just a quick look at development in the basins. If I open a new window, it's a little better. This is just 10 years of how much development, and the gray bars are disturbed acres, and the blue bars are the impervious surfaces that were added. And you look, this is 100 acres over here. So some of these basins have had a lot of disturbance. And Pole Branch, the next drawing shows the actual basins. You can see that we've had over 100 acres of disturbance in Crystal Lake Basin, and over 50 acres of it has been paved or made impervious with rooftops. So that plays a big role in water quality. The more impervious surfaces we have, the more water quality problems we could have, or more importantly, the more integrity problems we have. Hopefully the engineers do a great job. That's why we review the site plans. We're looking at that. Look at Pole Branch Basin, over 550 acres in 10 years of disturbance, and over 200 acres of impervious surface added. And all of these will be in the report and available to you online with the link. So that's just a quick look of development. We are doing education programs. You've seen the new sign program, I hope. You see Pretty Run. This is two of the stormwater team, Bill and Lamar. They do a lot of the work in the basin. They clean all the drains. They map all the drains. They are my right arm. And if you see them out working, thank them for what they do. I know I do every day. But they're putting our signs up. We're trying to educate the community to let them know that we are, these are your basins. These are where you live. It kind of goes in hand with this report. Hopefully the report will be public once it's finalized and City Council gets a chance. And while I got that on my mind, I'd like to say, if you have any input that you'd like to see something different added or more information, let me know. Why we're seeing better water quality, I think this has got a lot to do with it. And some of these, when I open big, they do get a little blurry. Well, that one doesn't get big. But we have actually, in the last, over 10 years, cleaned over 544 tons of trash out of storm drains. The program was always there, and it's always been a maintenance issue that these storm drains were cleaned, but not a designated stormwater program that actually makes sure they're drained and the drains are cleaned. Over 5,444 drains, and a lot of those are several times over. But street sweeping, which has been done by the Utilities Department for years, they've removed over 4,000 tons of sediment out of the streets, leaves, trash. All of that would have gone straight to the storm and straight to the streams and creeks in the Savannah River. Hazardous waste collection, we've collected over 112 tons. So you can see this in the report. It's amazing how much we've done. So of course the water quality should be better. Because now we're focused on it. We're focused on it like a laser, and we're always trying to make sure that it is being maintained properly. And that's where our stormwater program construction inspections come into play. Over 6,188 inspections. I know the contractors think we're hard on them, but we are very passionate about what we do, and we absolutely don't want to see sediment-laden streams in North Augusta. But they do a great job. Over 82% of them have passed their inspections. And the 18% that failed, I probably could name them on one hand, but we're not going to go there. Let's see. The new rankings. This is what I was just mentioning. I've added this to the report. It is the new rankings for the basins. And this is the previous ranking in 2007. This ranking is what we've been kind of working off of. Most of the time. I think we did a little update in 2012, but now you can see over here the overall rankings. We're bringing that water quality is actually bringing these basins up. It is not mitigating the stream water integrity, which I'm about to show you, but it is definitely, if we get good water quality, we've really won a big part of that battle. So I kind of weigh that heavily, that water quality is better. And you can see that most of them are better. We still have a few problems here and there, but I usually know why. And we've had some sewer overflows, or we've had some infrastructure problems, or we've had some illicit discharges that we've found. So with that, I'm going to get off of that whole overview, and we're just going to start looking specifically at basins. Waterworks Basin, this basin is a very large basin. And if you're familiar with it, I'd like to show you really quick. This is the old Walmart, Shops at North Augusta, Lowe's, the shopping center there. Well, that's part of Lowe's, I guess. This is the Belk Shopping Center, and I don't know the proper names. They've changed over the years. This is the Big Lots Shopping Center. And then all through this blue line here is that basin. All of this drainage comes down in several ways. It comes down behind the shopping centers and down through our park at the community center and along Riverside Boulevard. It comes down through the Mealing property all the way down here. And then we have all this older infrastructure that comes down along Atomic Road behind Metz Drive and then eventually drops into River Club. The River Club wetlands actually clean all the pollutants out of the water. So we've done a lot of tests. We've done special studies. USC Aiken has helped us with that. And we're really pleased to say water quality is good at our sample point, which is down here as it goes in the river. But there are problems. And so the map, I'm going to give you a quick look at this map. This is the area that we're about to look at. Pink on the city map is storm, and the gold dots are storm boxes. And so all of these are drained. Some of them are private. I try to map them all. Some of them are public. This is Plaza Place Apartments behind Publix, that little cut-through road. We're going to talk about that a little bit in just a second. This is the Mealing property. This is Jiffy Lube right here where I'm pointing. This is Wife Saver. And this is a drainage way that drains all of that upper part that we saw a minute ago from all the shopping centers and South Carolina DOT highways and roads. And South Carolina DOT has a big part in this, what you're about to see. So this is what we're going to focus on, this area here, and I will begin. So Plaza Place had a complete failure of their infrastructure just a couple of years ago. It got so bad that this picture here, this drainage failed all the way down to the creek. And this is the back of the apartments on the back side where you saw the pink line. It was a tremendous failure. They have tremendous flows coming through there. It was an old corrugated metal pipe, quite large one, but it's still not quite, in my opinion, it should have been made larger. So we had to get in touch with them. Just sat this way for a long time. It got worse and worse. Cavernous holes were forming. And eventually we brought them into compliance with a compliance directive to repair this. And the reason for that, and according to them, is the drainage coming from the shopping center, the public shopping center, and I call it the Publix, it's Kmart or whatever. It comes through with no detention. So some of our older shopping centers have no detention whatsoever. So they feel like the real problem is the volume of water that's coming through. And we literally see the manholes blown off of the drains up above this a little bit. I didn't get photos of that. So there is an argument to be made there. That is a lot of flow coming through a small area. This is directly behind Jiffy Lube. This cavern is incredible. So Michaela and I went out there. We wanted to see what it looked like. We know we have a drainage issue there. We always have. I haven't been there in a long time, so we went and looked, and it is incredible. This is too much water coming through. And this is the same, right? Turn around. There's the storm pipes in the bottom of that giant cavern. She wasn't even able to go down there. At that point, she was able to get in there a little bit later in a couple more of these photos. This is also just a little bit farther downstream, this cavern that runs all of this drainage through there. Now, I need to mention the sewer line runs in this ditch as well. We saw a manhole lid and a sewer line crushed down in there, and we thought the whole system was gone, but it wasn't. It was not. It was an old system that was taken out of service, and they wouldn't pick it up for me. Let's see how I can make this bigger. Oh, there we go. All right, this is downstream right behind North Augusta Elementary School. Let's see if I can get out of it now. There we go. I don't even need to say anything about that. I was blown away by that that cavern that has formed. And this is the sewer line in the bottom of the ditch. And thank God, none of it had been breached. Where the big cavern forms, which is, I'm literally standing at the cavern and I turned the camera around and pointed down. Two good things here. The water you see in that ditch is because it had just stormed. We went back after a storm. Generally, there's no water here. This is not a stream. This is a drainage way that has formed. It's not actually one that was built. So it's not a stream, so we're not having a lot of stream integrity. It's just a drainage way. And this can be resolved with the development that is being proposed down the way. So that is all I have for Waterworks Basin. I think that a lot of that speaks for itself. Let's see if I can get back. I only have a few of these. I'm trying to do 30 minutes, but I forgot to turn my timer on, so Libby hopefully can keep me straight. The land used in Pretty Run, we're going to talk about Pretty Run Basin. As you can see, it's very heavily developed. 66% of the properties are already, we only have about 34% of woods left. And Pretty Run Basin is another very large basin. This is the outline of the Pretty Run Basin. It's orange. As you can see, it's very large. And the creeks that run through it is Pretty Run Creek. And it runs all the way through it basically starts up behind the Pizza Hut. And I'm not sure my bearings here. I guess that'd be about right here. And then a Bradleyville Road and McDonald's, they kind of drain into this area, and it kind of cuts around and goes behind Dove Street and that subdivision, and then back through Knollwood and Green Acres, and then through the big tract of land along the Greenway, then goes back around and then through Rapids. So we'll look at it kind of quickly. Pretty Run is in a pretty good state of affairs. A TMDL stream, like I said, it is impaired with E. coli. We've studied it to death, literally. And some of the things that we see in there, we see a lot of sediment loads. This is a upper reach up behind Dove Street. A lot of sediment comes down through here. We haven't quite targeted where that all comes from. It could have been construction of the apartments on Five Notch Road. In Lyndhurst subdivision, we have a lot of these lined ditches. They're storm ditches that are lined with concrete. We do see a lot of those, and people throw things in those. We have flooding problems that we are just finished resolving some of those. This was a picture that was handed to me on a complaint that the water backed up. That concrete ditch I just showed you overfilled. It is behind this fence and filled up his yard, his neighbor's yard, and almost knocked his little metal building off its foundation. Ever since that day, I've been concerned about that. And we knew it was a huge project, capital project. We had to come up with money. This is flooding low up near Bunting Drive, where we just did the work. This was before the work. These are some of the photos that I've taken over the years that have been provided to me. This is the Pretty Run behind Robin Road. This gentleman called me, sent me videos. This is the creek where it should be, but it was completely filling his backyard. So there is a ton of water coming down through some of these older neighborhoods without detention. And evidently, these people have lived here many, many, many years and have told me I've never seen this before. And these pictures were taken several years ago. So I don't get a lot of complaints, but I do get them, and they are significant. We were able to do the RIA grant last year. Tom had designed a project or had it designed, and then we found out we didn't have enough money, and then we ran out and tried to get more money with the grant. We were awarded the grant, and we were able to upgrade these 18-inch pipes that run through Bunting Drive to 48-inch pipes. I'm sure you've read about it. Hopefully you've learned about it through just traffic changes. But anyway, that's just some of the issues and some of the successes we've had in that area. We're still concerned a little bit about E. coli in those ditches. And we think that might be an area that we could actually do some really good work. So real quickly, I'll talk about the Pretty Run assessment and how the regulatory side of it went. This is the same. This is the creek. This is the large tract of land that runs along the Greenway Trail. Robin Road, where you see the pictures of all the flooding. I think this is that area there. Bunting Drive is the big one running through here. This is the area we repaired and added bigger pipes. And then all of this drains on eventually down to here. So all of these little dots are sample points. We went up every channel looking for E. coli, looking for sewer line breaks, illicit discharges of any kind. We do have this area up here. This is behind the Tractor Supply. This is the Mossy Oak or Mossy Oak subdivision here. Most of these people are on septic tanks. They're in the county. Anyway, so we looked at all of these places, and what we found was enough information to make us even more confused. So the E. coli samples that we were seeing, they were high levels, and sometimes they weren't. And so to figure out, after we've done all this research and all this legwork, what it is when we can't find anything, and this is an E. coli test they're doing for us free at the water plant because they already have that certification. We decided to look at it even more closely, and we started running DNA analysis of some of the samples. That is an EPA certified test that the company in Florida does. So we'd send them water samples, and they would run DNA on that E. coli, and that's called source tracking. The company's called Molecular Source Tracking, and this is one of their slides I just loved. And so we looked at two things. We could have looked at all these things, but we know we have humans. We looked at humans. We know we have birds, and we know we have dogs and cats. We don't have a lot of horses. So we focused in on ruminants, which are the deer and humans, because I didn't want to waste money. And it came back that most of our samples, DNA samples, indicated deer. So what we've tended to be doing, and I'm going to move back up real quick to the map, is through development, we have concentrated the wildlife along these stream corridors with our buffers, which is great. That's what we want. We want to get them in a place where they have somewhere to be, refuge, to have babies, whatever they do. But all of the wildlife is being concentrated. This is Overlook, I believe. And so when we pulled that sample, we would walk in there and the contractor say, hey, there were 25 deer out there this morning. And so we're concentrating them. And I think that's what our problem is. It's not necessarily that we have sewer lines broken, because we've checked them all. We've done aerial infrared photography. We've done so much. I could write a book about what all we've done, that we've really come to that conclusion. We've presented our information to DHEC. We've presented it at big meetings to the EPA, so they're aware that sometimes there's not a simple fix, and it's not something we can go out and repair. This is just a problem that we have as a community. So this area here, this is that big area that runs along the Greenway. This is where the water comes through, and that's our staff gauge. We've actually mounted a staff gauge on that storm box so that we know the volume of water as this rises, how much water is coming through the basin. That helps us with some of our waste load allocation data. And then this is Pretty Run. The lower reaches of Pretty Run, and this is an intern I had years ago. I've had a lot of people help me, a lot of interns, a lot of students. They're in the business now. They're professional stormwater managers with other cities. This is the lower point. This is the basin point that DHEC deemed was our impaired spot in the Rapids subdivision. But I just wanted to show you this to show you the integrity of this basin is actually fairly good. We do have some problems behind, Lyndhurst. I don't know what this is doing. Let me scroll down. Oh, I have to look at that. This is during one of the hurricane type storms in that same place that you just saw Aaron sitting there pulling a water sample. That's the volume of water that's coming through there. It's tremendous. So that basin holds up well, though. It doesn't have, it's not becoming, undercut. Trees aren't falling in. it's holding up well. So the lower part of Pretty Run Basin's doing great. Let me move on. Pole Branch Basin, another basin that's very large. It starts up here where the new Walmart is, Walnut Lane, SRP Credit Union. Come on down to that track that we're developing now. Austin Heights along Austin Graybill Road. There are two drainage ways. One comes under I-20 here, and another one comes under I-20 at Austin Heights. And then all of this converges in this area right here, and this area is in trouble. So I'm going to show you this map. This is the upper drainage way coming under across Austin Graybill at the newer Walnut Village project, and this is the Austin Heights project. And this convergence coming through here has left its historical channel, which is this. It is now washing down the sewer line easement and has actually created a massive problem for us. And we've discovered this during the Rushing Waters development. We went in to do some inspections and look at some things for a plan review for Rushing Waters 2, and we saw what was going on. And now we've got to resolve it. Rushing Water is actually down here farther at the end of Claremont. This is Claremont, and this is, it turns in Edna, or at some point, here's Edna Street. And these are important. That's why I'm pointing them out. Edna Street, this is Belvedere Terrace. This is the tract where Quick Trip is about to develop. So that gives you your bearings. So now we'll look at what really is going on down there.
Can I interrupt you right quick? Just one quick one?
Yes.
On all those trails, this is just from a layperson or a sophomore question. Cannot detention ponds be placed all along those areas to slow the water down or to catch it or to trap it? Is it expensive or you just can't do it?
Well, they can, but they're private property. So it's one of those things that the city, would have to work through the development process or possibly acquire parcels to do that. So that's a big issue and a big expense, and a lot of thought has to go into that. But yes, that is something we're looking at in extended detention. Okay. Is that answer your question adequately?
Yeah, it did.
Okay. So this is that sewer line easement. You can see barely there's a sewer line right there. It's right in the middle of it. Now that water comes down here instead of its original path back here. And we don't own this property. This is private land. But when we do have development come in, we go out and we inspect these areas just to see what's going on, so we make good decisions in the review process. So this is during.
We're getting near time here, Tonya.
Okay, I'll get it really quick through. This is actually during one of the big storms, that same drainage way. And it's incredible how much water goes through there. I'm at Edna Street when we're doing this video. And let me get down to the next one. This is just down the way. This is at the end of Claremont. And our sewer line is right here. So it comes down and it blows it out. And this was repaired 2 weeks before. So the sewer line is here, and the sewer line was completely standing up above ground. Mr. Sutton is in the middle of a tremendous project trying to repair the sewer line just from that issue. And that's Michaela standing in that same spot. So let me get out of this. So we are working on a grant from the USDA. It's an emergency watershed grant because that big storm you saw there was hurricane related. We're looking at $2.1 million, and they're making decisions right now on whether we're going to get that so we can rock line the drainage way. And I wanted to just show you quickly, this is Belvedere Terrace, where they have a massive flooding problem in there on a routine basis. So we're working really closely with them. And Quick Trip is working with Aiken County and DOT because that is not in the city limits. All right, I'll go quickly through Womrath Basin. Womrath Basin is pretty good. It's not as developed. We do have some construction coming to Womrath Basin. It's a very large basin. The whole bottom half is wetlands, and they take care of any water quality issues. It is up here by the old food lines, what I call it. Now it's a television station. And then Euclid Avenue, that's where this big massive ditch is formed, and it is it's a problem. It's a problem. It's a stabilized problem, but it is a problem. This is the ditch. It's a very massive ditch. It runs entirely all the way through that tract, all the way to Womrath Road. And it's a very big ditch. And it's a drainage ditch, so it's not running a stream or a creek. It is literally just dry. Until it gets to Womrath, it does become a wet flowing stream. And we don't have many water quality problems there. Quickly, I'll go through Hammond Hills just so we can finish this up. Hammond Hills has got its own set of problems. It's an older subdivision with no detention anywhere. There are ditches running between people's homes or behind their homes, which if any of you live there know about this. And the only piping that was put in was at the crossings of roads. And it's very well developed. As you see, 78% developed, not a lot of green space left. And I'm kind of combining two here because they run together. Everything's the same. This is Riverview Basin. This is Hammond Hills Basin. And Riverview runs through the park. We've got some issues in there that we're working on. And then Hammond Hills has got ditches and things all over it. So let me quickly show you that, because this is the end of my presentation. This is the top of Hammond Hills Basin. This is a ravine that runs all the way through. It kind of flattens out, but it's got some problems. This is a resident sent me this picture, and we went to her house just recently where the creek running through her yard is now eroded her fence. She's had to move it back, and now she's going to have to move it again, and she's very upset about that. But the problem with Hammond Hills is during construction and development in the 50s, they did not deed easements over to the city. So we can't go in there and resolve issues for people. It's kind of like they own it. And let me get back and I'll show you. This is one of the ditches in the subdivision that runs behind the homes. And Michaela walked it for me because, of course, I can't cross these areas very well from my previous injury, but this is the ditches behind the homes that are not easements, so we don't really have authority to be in there, and we get a lot of complaints. Let's see if I hit that, and then there's a couple more of those, but I don't have to show them all because I don't want to keep you any later than this. This is the same set of ditch with more just infrastructure blown out. So with that, I think I've given you a pretty good overview of what we're seeing in the basin. These ditches and these structures are going to have to be fixed. Before I say good night, I just want to tell you the Household Hazardous Waste Day is May 22nd. That's one of our big events, and Earth Day is next Friday at Brick Pond Park. Any questions? I know you're tired. I am too.
How often are y'all updating those statistics that you showed at the very beginning that you're checking the quality?
I literally the statistics for water quality or the statistics for development?
Water quality.
Water quality. We're doing it on the first basin assessment was done in 2007. We've been sampling ever since then. We did a brief one in 2012, but this is the comprehensive. Put it on the shelf, put it to bed. We're starting a new 10-year cycle. So we have a,
okay.
Yeah, so we've decided to do 10-year cycles. If we saw a lot of problems, we'd probably do it quicker.
Where's your drone? You don't have a drone?
No, but I would love to have a drone. I need one.
Who we need to talk to for you?
Okay, I would love to have a drone. I've talked to my director about that, but so far I haven't made any headway.
Oh, okay.
Thank you for your attention.
Yeah, I want to thank Tonya for this information. I think it's really, really important that we understand this from a planning perspective. If development plans ever look kind of funny to you because we're requiring so much area for detention, it's to help mitigate some of these problems that she's shown you, and it's to help keep our water quality good, keep our river clean, and you know, be good stewards of North Augusta for our kids. So thank you, Tonya.
Yeah, Tonya, this is fascinating. Thank you.
Well, I'm glad you find it fascinating. I do too. I wish I could be live and really talk about it, but I appreciate the opportunity. We look at every development plan with these things in mind. I just want you to be assured of that. We are really stay on top of this. And some of these critical basins and some of these bigger problems, I mean, these are certainly areas that we work with the engineers. We discuss it, you know, we tell them that these problems are there, and they do a great job working with us on that.
I think this would be something worthwhile for you to be in a rotation to update the planning commission, you know, once a year. It's the first time we've had this as I've been on the planning commission for 5-6 years.
Well, I'll be happy to do that.
Libby, for doing this. This is very good.
Thank you very much, and I'll let you finish your meeting so y'all can get home. Any questions, just shoot me an email, get it through Libby, and I can provide you with any information.
Thank you, Tonya.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
All right, staff reports.
I won't go item by item, but the monthly report for last month should be in your packet. Tonya, you may want to unshare your screen.
That's not black.
Yeah, or you can log off. That's up to you. As we discussed earlier, I said y'all probably want to expect to be in study sessions or be invited to, I guess I should say, study sessions for just about every meeting, probably from here to the end of the year. Just because we have all of these projects going on. Hopefully we'll be starting up on some transportation projects pretty soon. So we just have a lot going on, a lot of stuff that you guys need to be aware of. The development code rewrite is moving along. Council reviewed the audit report, same report that you guys saw. The consultant is working on a draft. We'll get into some discussions about policy related matters and other questions that are going to come up along the way. So that's on its way. The Martintown Road corridor study was adopted. So that's very good. Staff is working now with ARTS and SCDOT to make sure the projects get on the proper lists and get ready for funding and the attention that they need. Hopefully, as I mentioned, hopefully the other study funds will be released soon from SCDOT. So we do have an RFP out right now for remediation services for code enforcement. That is for grass mowing, entry, stabilization, those sorts of things. There's more information on our website. If you know anyone who's interested in bidding, it'll be due at the end of the month. Just an FYI, we will be hosting the SCAPA, the South Carolina APA Summer Conference, July 15th and 16th here in North Augusta. I can also put a plug in. Please complete your continuing ed if you can. I'm going to try to put together some links to some presentations that you might find interesting coming up soon that will relate to some of the stuff that we're working on. So there will be some information about comprehensive planning and transportation planning and some of this other stuff that we're going to take a look at. If y'all have anything for me, please let me know.
This was a great study session and meeting. Thank you, Libby. Any other questions for Libby? All right, thank you for your service tonight, and y'all have a good, safe evening, and the meeting is adjourned.